Hello, welcome back to Life Sciences. I'm Helen and we're looking at organic molecules. Before the break we saw this mind map to show us the different kinds of organic molecules that exist in the bodies of living organisms. Let's take another look. Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. These are all different examples of organic molecules. Today, we're going to focus on carbohydrates and lipids, and later on, we're going to look at nucleic acids. The carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids are what we call macromolecules. That means they are enormous molecules. They are very large. Macro means very, very big. They are made up out of smaller and very simpler units all put together. I like to think of it as though the macromolecule is like a bead necklace, and the little parts or building blocks, the units that make it up, are like the individual beads. So like you would take individual beads and string them together to make a necklace. So these huge macromolecules are made up of smaller individual units. The individual units are called monomers, and the large macromolecule, after putting all these building blocks together, is called a polymer. Now, we said that there are different kinds of organic molecules. So if you look on the screen, you can see that organic molecules can be carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. And next to that, we can see what the monomers of each of those types of organic molecules is. The carbohydrate is made up of monosaccharides, which means one sugar. And if we join a whole lot of monosaccharides together, we get the polymer, which is called a polysaccharide. Poly means many. Lipids, their monomers are glycerol and 3 fatty acid molecules joined together, and they make up the polymer called a triglyceride. Proteins, the monomer there is the amino acid, and many amino acids strung together make the polypeptide, or the protein. Nucleic acids are made up of monomers called nucleotides, and the nucleotides all put together make up the nucleic acid. You're very familiar with carbohydrates because you eat them every day and they give you lots of immediate energy. Sugars and starches are very common to you. Glycogen and cellulose are far less common, but you've probably heard of them as well. Glycogen is the carbohydrate form that you have in your body for storing immediate energy, and cellulose is the carbohydrate that makes up cell walls in plant cells. Carbohydrates all contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The ratio of hydrogen to carbon is 2:1. That means for every 1 carbon, you're going to have 2 hydrogen atoms, and that goes across the board for all carbohydrates without exception. There are 3 different kinds of carbohydrates. You've met some of these terms already. The monosaccharide is the monomer unit, one single sugar unit. Disaccharides are what happens when we put 2 monomers together. We get a 2 sugar unit. And then, of course, the polysaccharide, which is stringing together many, many different sugar units together in a long, long chain. You're familiar with glucose and starch. Well, glucose is a monosaccharide, and starch is simply a long chain of glucose molecules. When plants photosynthesize, they make glucose, which the cell immediately packages into long polymer chains of starch. When you eat starch, your digestive system breaks down these long polymer chains into individual glucose units, which your cells can absorb. Some carbohydrates that are important to you, well, we've already spoken about glucose. It is what we call a hexose sugar. Hex means 6, and it has 6 carbon atoms in one molecule of glucose. And you can see what the chemical formula or the molecular formula for glucose is: C6H12O6. That means there's 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen, and 6 oxygen atoms. We've already said that it is the product of photosynthesis and the final product of your carbohydrate digestion. Cellular respiration, of course, takes that glucose molecule and breaks it down to produce ATP. 2 other very important sugars that we will come across later on today are deoxyribose and ribose, and they're pentose sugars. They only have 5 carbons in them, and they're vital to nucleic acids. And we've already spoken about starch that is found in plants, and it can have more than 200,000 glucose molecules in a long chain. Glycogen has fewer glucose, but it is just as important as an energy storage form in animals and in fungi. Lipids are also known as fats and oils. Now, they're also made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen is greater than 2:1, unlike it was in carbohydrates. When we come back after the break, we're going to focus on a very important group of organic molecules known as nucleic acids.